Hey friends, welcome to another episode of Live Boldly with Sarah. I think this is the 31st time that I have tried to record this episode. I want to talk to you about the fires that are happening here in Southern California. What to say to somebody when they are going through a very hard time of their life. 70% of us in the United States, this is just the United States, will go through a major traumatic event in their life where it's almost like their life has hit pure destruction. Some of us will go through more than one. What do you say to them? And then also, I want to touch on survivor's guilt and what it is, and also to give yourself some grace if you are feeling that. So, I've lived through a few things, as you all know. When I was 11 going on 12, June 8th, 1984, I lived through a traumatic event. We had a tornado that came through and it tore literally the entire town of Barneveld was gone. And then it skipped the next hill, a few different hills, and it took out a portion of my town. And we lived on top of a hill. People thought that my family was actually taken out. They thought that people questioned, like, how did you guys survive? Well, our town, a portion of it, like I said, was completely devastated and gone. And I remember that morning when the morning of the tornado, we were sitting, we went to a baseball game in town. I grew up in a very small town, 1,100 people, 1,200 people. And I remember overhearing one mom say to another mom, the air feels really weird. It just feels silent today. And then that night is when the tornado struck. I was supposed to be camping that night outside with one of my dear friends, my best friend, and we decided not to. We decided to actually sleep in like the carport area of my family's house. And then in the middle of the night, you heard this like train come through, and we ran to the bay window with my mom, and the sky had turned purple. And then she just screamed for all of us to go downstairs, and we did. And we were one of the lucky ones. The next morning when I woke up, and the cops came to the top of our hill, and they thought there's no way like that we could have survived that. And our house was still standing, and we were there. My dad was out of town that actually on a business trip, and we didn't have social media. He didn't even know what had happened. He didn't find out that it happened until he drove through the town. He was driving into the town, and he told us, he said, I looked and it was like the trees were twisted and homes were down. And he said, and it struck me then like, oh my God, something happened. So, long story short, when I woke up the next morning and they were telling us don't go outside because of all the fallen electrical lines and everything. And we did finally, like we could leave the house, and we went walking through the rubble. And I remember thinking to myself, like, oh my God, my best friends, they lost everything. And we were walking over their homes, and we were finding pieces, like things that belonged to other people from the neighboring town. And then Budweiser came in and, of course, did a commercial, right? Filmed a commercial about picking yourself up in community post a traumatic event, like a natural disaster. Anyhow, so I'll never forget that. I'll never forget the community coming together post something that was so horrific. I'll never forget walking over the ruins of my best friends, my friends' homes. And then them having to move away because they couldn't rebuild there. And now as an adult, well, first of all, then I went through a destruction of my marriage, right? When I was 40, I'm now 51. So it was 11 years ago, and having to sell everything and start over from that, because it was destruction. It felt like it was an earthquake, that it was a lifequake. I call it a lifequake. That I lived through. And then having to, like, your entire world just comes crumbling down and you're having to rebuild. And now the fires that are happening here, and watching so many of my friends lose everything and having to start over. I mean, tens of thousands of, it's just like witnessing what is happening, and then also having the self-reflection on my side of I live at the beach. I believe that we're fine. And I've also learned that you got to be prepared for anything. Your life is in constant change. Nothing is sedentary, ever, ever. And be prepared for that. Know where your things are should you have to leave the house, but also being prepared for just life changes in general, right? Like 70% of us in the United States will go through a major trauma in our life. What do you say to those people? And also, how do you, as that person, navigate through? A week before the fires hit, Joe and I were sitting there like at the kitchen table trying to decide like where do we want to go hike. We wanted to get out of the house and go hike and get into the mountains. Mount Baldy was closed. It still is. It's supposed to be closed until January of 2026. I am going to say, please open that thing up because we need it now more than ever. Well, it's closed right now because of the fires that hit there. And so we couldn't go there. So Joe and I were like, well, where do we want to go? And so I told him, I said, I want to take you up to Echo Mountain, Inspiration Point, Altadena, Pasadena area. And I said, we can go there, though the Rose Bowl is going on, and I don't know if we'll get stuck in traffic, or we can go to the area above Pacific Palisades, Malibu, and climb a trail that I've never been on. We can go do that. So we decided to go do that. And that was a week before the fires hit. And then I remember we were like walking along the top bridge line, and he was like, what is that down there? And I said, oh, that's Pacific. We figured out like that's Malibu's that way. That's Pacific Palisades. And we just loved that time together on that 8-mile trail. And now it's all gone. A month before everything burned up in Pasadena, Altadena area, I think it was about a month, Coco and I were climbing up there. And we just had like the most beautiful day together. And now that's all gone. I share that with you because there's a couple of things. Number one, don't wait for tomorrow that which you can do today, because I wish that would have taken Joe up to Echo Mountain area. We'll go up there again someday. I'm sure it's going to be closed for a very long time though. And I probably won't even be here. Like I'm probably going to move somewhere else myself. So that's one of the things. Don't wait for tomorrow that which you can do today. We always say we're going to have tomorrow, and you may not, right? Like you may not. And then also be prepared for the changes that will happen, but then also that are happening. And so if you don't have your things together, if you haven't, put a backup plan, make one. I know so many people that don't do wills and last testaments, that don't have things prepared for themselves. Please get yourself prepared. Because we always say it could happen, it's going to happen, like it's not going to happen to you. Like we always say, oh, that won't happen to me. I mean, do you know how many people that have said the fires won't hit Hermosa Beach? Well, or the South Bay where I live. They could definitely hit here, my friends. Like, you don't know what you don't know. And so for you to say that your house can't be burned down or that you couldn't lose everything, first of all, if we have the firefighters and so many people fighting all of that right now, what happens if we have an earthquake and then everything comes flying down? The first responders are responding to so much else. So you may not have those people that you think are going to be there for you to be there for you, because we're already stretched thin. So all I'm saying is be prepared, because for you to say that it will never happen to you, I never thought many, many things would ever happen to me. And here we are. So that also goes into, I have not lost my house. And so many of us have lost the home that we have spent hours and hours and hours in. For those people that love nature, that love the mountains, to watch it burn has been, I can't even put words to it. I have spent so much time in that space in Echo Mountain, Inspiration Point, Mount Wilson, in the Santa Monica Mountains, and to watch it burn has been devastating. To know that the animals, like it's just everything, right? Mother Earth, the animals, all of it, that that the animals are going through so much. It has been devastating. And so give yourself a little pause if you are grieving that as well, like myself, and just know that, yes, there will be rebirth on the other side, and it's okay for you to grieve what will never be again, right? It's okay to grieve that. So, to share though, also, what do you say to those people that are grieving, right? Like the guy who does my taxes and my books, he texted me this morning before I ever got on to do this episode. And he said, "Hey, I know that you're not in the path of the fire. How are you doing? Are you okay?" Because he said, "I know that you've spent a lot of time up in those mountains, and that's also your space." And he said, "I don't even know what to say." And I said, "You know what, Jason, you just reaching out has said so much. It's said that you care. So thank you." And what I want to say to all of you is, when people are going through things, they don't have to have direct impact. Like, I didn't lose my house, and yet a lot of my home that I go to, it's not there anymore. And so what do you say to those people? Well, the first thing is just acknowledge the loss. That's number one. Acknowledge the loss that people are going through, because one person's loss may not look like another person's loss. I've always said, like, my house is just my house. My home is where my kids are. It's where I go to. It's the ocean. It's the mountains. Like, those are my homes. And so acknowledging that what you may not see as a loss is a loss for another person is a big thing, right? And so simply acknowledge that and just reach out to them. And then the second thing is express your support to them. When we go through traumatic times in our life, like I said, I've been through many, right? We oftentimes feel alone, and just acknowledging that that you are there for them, acknowledging the support is huge, because you're never alone. I'm going to tell you, you are never alone. I made a reel on Instagram, and I had put images, this video together of the time. It was just a couple of years ago, actually. It was in 22 when I was up in Echo Mountain and Inspiration Point with some dear friends, with Coco. Not Coco wasn't with me on that one. It was with my niece Grace, and also with Mark, who I climb a lot of mountains with. And it was raining that day. So cold. Oh my gosh. And so I put this video together, a reel of us and what it was like for us in 22. And then also at the end of it, it had it burning. And I grabbed that footage from from an Instagram post that I saw, somebody else's reel. And I messaged him, and I just said, I know that we love these mountains. Like, I thank you for letting me use what you just, what was on yours, the burning of it, because I wanted to show what once was and now what is, what's happening up there. And I said, I'm sure that we've crossed paths because we both share the love of these mountains. And, like I said, what a loss can look very different from one person to the other. And we are never alone. And that's what we messaged. He and I were messaging back and forth of our love for that area, for that space, and how we are not alone because we share that connection to that space, to those mountains. And so simply expressing support, that's number two. And then the third thing is offer help. Specifically, like, offer up, what can I do for you? Can I help you to find a new home right now. Like a lot of people are looking for new spaces, new places to live. How can I help you? Like literally offer up the help. Can I find clothes for you? Can I get clothes for you? Can I bring you? It's funny because John Kim, who is the angry therapist on Instagram, I interviewed he and Vanessa Bennett on my podcast a few years ago. And he was saying how it's really difficult to receive for them, both therapists. And he goes, and we're learning how to receive. And he said, somebody wanted to bring us pastries. And he's like, I was like, no, I don't want pastries. And then I was like, wait, you know what? I do want pastries. Sure, bring the pastries, right? And it's literally about offering help specifically, like, what can I do for you? And also just simply doing something, right? Like, I don't know, take pastries to them, right? And or take them their favorite coffee, or give to the GoFundMe. Like give $5-10 to GoFundMe, because if we all give $5 or $10, how much does that actually add up to? It adds up to a lot. So offer specific help, and also if somebody doesn't know what they need, just do something. I mean, it sounds so crazy, but take pastries, right? And then the number 4 is be empathetic, but not overbearing. So be empathetic to the loss, but not overwhelming. So just remember that those people that are going through hard times, they're already overwhelmed. And I remember when I was going through my traumatic time, when I was selling my house and everything, and going through my divorce, and it was really overwhelming. I mean, you just feel like you're alone on an island. You're overwhelmed by the emotional, the mental, the physical, just all of it, the spiritual space. And when somebody's going through something difficult, don't overwhelm them with your emotions, right? Be empathetic. Simply say, like, I'm here for you. What can I do to support you? Right? Because just remember that they're already going through a lot. Holding space is all they need. Like, just hold space for them. And then the 5th thing is to reassure them. Reassure them that they're not alone. Reassure them that it's okay for them to feel whatever it is that they're feeling. And reassure them that you are not going anywhere, that you are there for them through the whole thing. Not simply for what's happening at this moment. Reassure them that you are there for them down the line as well. Because the thing that I've noticed about trauma is when you go through a traumatic situation, it brings up the past. So just reassuring those people that are going through something difficult that you're not leaving them, that you are there for them for the long haul, for the long walk ahead. This is not simply right now. That is huge. That's a big one right there. So acknowledge the loss, express your support. You're not alone. Offer the help specifically, like take pastries. The pastries. I loved that, John Kim. I thought that was brilliant. Be empathetic, but not overwhelming, because just remember that they're going through a very overwhelming time in their life. Remind them that they're not alone. Don't overwhelm them with your emotions and your thoughts, and just simply reassure them that you're there for the long haul. It's not just the short term. Let's talk about survivor's guilt really quick. So a lot of times we feel, when we're witnessing so many people going through devastation, we might feel really bad, like guilty that this, why is this happening to them? And how did I escape this? On the flip side of it, I will tell you that there have been many times in my life where I've sat there going, why is this happening to me and no one else? And so on the same side, right, you might have that feeling of why me, not them, and why them, not me. And I'll tell you, the one thing that has helped me in all of this is simply understanding that the universe is working in the way that it is, and that we all go through things at different times. Have faith, be there for one another, because your time may be tomorrow, not today, right? And just understanding that we all have a place in this world. Things are happening to us, for us, with us, together, for whatever reason. And a lot of times we can't make sense of it, not right now. And we will perhaps be able to down the road. That is the one thing that I have learned. So survivor's guilt is a real thing. And also just remember that you have the power to control what you can right now in this moment, which is be there for those people that need you. And also be there for yourself, because we all go through things at different times. So with that, I hope this helps. Don't wait for tomorrow, that which you can do today, right now. And what I'm going to say is pick up that phone, make a call to those people that you care about, text those people that are going through some things right now, and just let them know that you are there for them too. And I am there for you. So I love you. I hope this helps. It took me enough times to record. Gosh, my heart goes out to so many people right now. My heart goes out to this world, to Mother Earth, because she is going through a massive change herself, to those animals, to our ecosystem, to everything that is happening. And just know that if this has helped you, I'm sure it will help others. So please share it with other people. Tag me and let me know so I can also reshare, and know that I am there with you every step of the way. The way out is forward. And as I remember Dr. Edith Eger saying so many times, we all go through the valley of darkness at some point in our life. Do not set up camp there. There is light on the other side. Take care of yourself. I love you. And thank you for being here. Go and subscribe, rate, review this podcast, share it with others, and let's reach as many people as we can in this time right now. Have a wonderful rest of your day.